Any fan who's watched the Boruto anime knows that Konohamaru is in desperate need of a W. This guy's win-loss column is starting to look so disproportionate that he's coming off like a pro team that's tanking for a high draft pick. However, those of you guys who are Konohamaru fans, worry not. In today's video, I'm gonna award Konohamaru his very first W that he's gotten in a very long time. The scene I'm gonna share with you guys comes in the part of the Boruto timeline set before the Ao arc of the Boruto manga. Konohamaru has just finished up an S-rank mission that took him to the Hidden Sand Village, and he's on his way back to Konoha. After entering into the territory of a Land of Fire, Konohamaru began to unwind as the lightning train zipped towards the Hidden Leaf Village. However, before he could get too settled into the nap that he was preparing to take, things suddenly took a turn for the worse. On a train where elderly people were traveling, parents were entertaining their children, and some of them were holding a newborn infant in their arms, Konohamaru suddenly found himself thrown into chaos. Out of nowhere, a giant explosion that rocks the lightning train suddenly went off. Unbeknownst to Konohamaru, the ones behind the explosion are actually ninjas. While the train around him descends into chaos, with people beginning to trample over one another and fighting one another, Konohamaru shows just why he was promoted to the rank of jonin. A ninja must learn to see past deception. Instead of going straight for the source of the explosion, Konohamaru both examines the people around him and then breaks down all the potential possibilities. Could this be an engine failure, or could this be part of something more sinister? A plot that was carried out by actual ninja. If he guessed incorrectly on how to handle the situation, those parents who were carrying an infant child could find themselves being held hostage in a situation by an unknown threat that Konohamaru hadn't identified yet. Now, with the scene being set, what I'll do now is read the scene in question from the Sasuke Shinden novel titled Sasuke Shinden, the Teacher's Star Pupil, and I'll come back to you guys with my thoughts, and it's here I'm gonna begin quoting. There was an ear-splitting explosion. Konohamaru opened his eyes up in surprise. He looked out the window at the end of the rail cars of the lightning train. Black smoke billowed out the top of violent flames. The passengers around him began to scream and shout about the explosion, and the smoke was entering into their cart. None of them wanted to die. They all wanted to get to safety as soon as possible. They were panicking. Konohamaru shouted for them to stop, shoving and trampling and running over one another. He told them that he was a Konoha ninja. He told them to remain calm. He said to hurry and escape to the front of the rail cars. He watched as they fought one another to be first, quickly flooding the passages around them. Despite all of his words from earlier, they still panicked. Konohamaru shouted once again that he was a ninja from Konoha, and this time he ordered them all to remain calm, this time stating that the explosion came from the far end of the lightning train, far away from their current location. He told them to calmly wait for updates from him, to let him check on the situation before they panicked. In truth, he was hesitant to lead them to the head of the train. He didn't know if the engine was in trouble or if this was an act by ninja. There might be ninja aiming for control of the engine in the front of the train. Before he realized it, there was nothing but silence. The passengers were restored to order. After telling them that he was going to go check on the situation, Konohamaru promptly took his leave. He couldn't help but wonder, just where was Sasuke in all of this? Sasuke was nowhere to be found. Konohamaru assumed that Sasuke had already gone to the scene of the crime, trusting in Konohamaru to calm down the passengers. But Sasuke would still need help putting out the flames. Then he needed to see if there was a human threat that needed to be dealt with. Konohamaru climbed out the window and onto the roof of the lightning train, rushing towards the flames that he knew Sasuke to be at. End quote. Now, this doesn't seem like much. However, it's still a W for Konohamaru. It doesn't take much to make people go into a panic, and that's very dangerous. At the first sign of trouble, you see people running off in all directions. In a crisis, leadership always prevails and rises to the top to handle a situation because they do the exact opposite that most people do. They don't panic. The compartment that Konohamaru was on was well on its way to turning into a mob, with people putting their own lives ahead of the lives of the people they shared a compartment with. They were shouting and fussing and fighting, and Konohamaru realized through all of this that if there was a human element to this, where ninja assailants were the ones behind this, then they would only give the unknown threat more leverage because they could take somebody hostage. In a very methodical manner, Konohamaru de-escalated the situation. He informed them of his status as a Konoha ninja, hoping to fill them with a sense of security. He then promptly took control by putting on an authoritative voice, forcing them to listen to him and then follow his actions. By doing this, he stopped what was quickly becoming a mob, where someone's grandmother mother might get trampled, get her head stomped in by some idiot who's trying to get himself to safety. He also simultaneously reduced the odds that the passengers would be used as future leverage in the event that there were ninja behind this attack. If he stayed in the cart, then there was less of a chance that they could be taken hostage when he went to back up Sasuke. Konohamaru displayed quite a bit of quick thinking that should be applauded when you look at this scene by itself, especially when you consider the fact that he dropped the ball when he acted so slowly to save Lemon when she was losing her memory in the Boruto anime. However, it's worth noting that in all the glory of Konohamaru, in his rush to prove himself to help Sasuke, the guy in his haste to take the fastest route to prove himself as being useful never thought to actually inspect the other rail cars, to survey the civilian situation and make sure that there was an off chance that there wasn't a ninja or a bandit hiding in the midst of all the civilian crowd. So what do you guys think about this? And let me know if you guys think that Konohamaru made a mistake here. But as always, guys, if you like anything I had to say, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. Have an awesome day, guys.